So another genetic disorder can be Tay-Sachs disease. It's a recessive disorder. Okay. The demographic that it usually affects is primarily Jews of Eastern Europe descent and Cajuns. Okay. So it's about one in every 3,600 births. It's 100 times greater than the incidence among non-Jews. It's a non-functional enzyme that fails to break down lipids in your brain cells. So basically, the fats collect in the cells in your brain and destroy the cell's function. The symptoms usually begin a few months after birth, can lead to seizures, blindness, degeneration of muscle, and mental performance. The child usually dies before they're 5 years old because the cells in your brain just fill with lipids and fats, and they, just cease to function. Bear is playing with his toy in the background, so enjoy that. Bear dropped a toy and go outside.
Oh, here. Did you see Oreo just fall over here?
He didn't fall. He's fine.
Hand over here.
All right. Sorry, dog. Okay. So this is kind of what it would look like. The cell just ends up filling with a whole bunch of the fats, and then everything inside the cell is not able to function anymore because the enzymes inside the lysosome cannot break down the fats. This is another disorder that we've talked about before. It's sickle cell anemia. It happens primarily in African Americans. It is a recessive disorder, and it's caused by a substitution of just one amino acid in the hemoglobin, which is the protein that carries the oxygen in your red blood cells. So when your oxygen levels are low, sickle cell hemoglobin crystallizes into long rods. So that basically means that your blood cells crystallize, which is not good, okay? So it deforms your red blood cells into that sickle shape, and the sickling creates pleiotropic effects. So it's a cascade of other symptoms. Basically, if you can't get proper oxygen and blood flow, then everything else in your body is going to start deteriorating. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It can cause a blockage in the flow of the blood because all of these rods or sickle cell shapes end up blocking the flow. So here's kind of like the cascade of what can happen. Okay, so if you have the sickled cells, you're going to end up having a breakdown of the red blood cells, clumping and clogging of the blood vessels, accumulation of them in the spleen, because the spleen is what helps break down the different or dead cells in your body. So you can have physical weakness, anemia, which means not enough iron. You can have heart failure, pain, fever, brain damage, damage to other organs, spleen damage, which can lead to a whole bunch of other major disorders, and then eventually death. So for the sickle cell phenotype, two alleles are co-dominant. That's where you have both the normal and the mutant hemoglobins are synthesized in the heterozygote. Okay, so 50% of cells are sickle and 50% are going to be normal. The carriers are usually healthy. You have to have that recessive trait completely in order to have it. So you could be a carrier and not pass it on. And not have any symptoms. So the sickle cell disease is triggered under blood oxygen stress. So normally you would find out if you have it once you exercise or partake in a very strenuous activity. So this is just kind of another way to go about it. When you have it, the best thing to do is to go through treatment. The hospital will hop to it. You need a lot of hydration, oxygen, and pain relief because you can have a lot of pain if you're not getting blood flow, you're not getting oxygen, and you need more oxygen added to your system, and you need to hydrate lots and lots of water to help keep your blood flowing. Now, when you have a heterozygote advantage, that's with incidences like malaria. That's where a single-celled eukaryotic parasite spends part of its life cycle in the red blood cell. So in Africa, where malaria is common because you usually get it from mosquito bites, homozygous dominant individuals die. So if you don't have sickle cell anemia, you would have malaria and die. But homozygous recessive individuals die of sickle cell anemia. But then heterozygote carriers usually do not have sickle cell, and they do not but they will have malaria. Okay, so here you can see you are less susceptible if you have sickle cell to malaria, but if you don't have sickle cell, you are more susceptible to malaria. So it's kind of, a catch-22, kind of a crappy situation either way, but there is a heterozygote advantage, okay, because you wouldn't have sickle cell and you're less susceptible. Can diseases be good? Heck yes, they can. Okay, so you guys can click this link and it'll take you to a video to kind of show you how mutations can be good. Not all mutations are bad. Most mutations aren't bad and help increase genetic diversity. Now, Huntington's disease. Okay, it's dominant inheritance. You have a repeated mutation on the end of chromosome number 4. This is where the nucleotide CAG repeats itself. So it creates the glutamine amino acid repeats in the protein. It's one of the very, very first genes to actually be identified. It's where you have a buildup of the Huntington protein in the brain, okay, which is why it's called Huntington's disease. And it causes the cell death in your brain, which can lead to memory loss, muscle tremors, jerky movements. The muscle tremors or jerky movements can be called chorea. You usually see symptoms starting between ages 30 and 50, and it does kill you because it's killing the cells in your brain. So basically, after you start seeing symptoms, you're going to die within 10 to 20 years after that. So here you can see this is all of the normal functioning brain, okay, where you see all of the red is kind of where you have all the control and activity and everything. And then this is Huntington's disease early. There's barely any of the orange or red, and then there's none at all when Huntington's disease is full-fledged. And that's the end of Mendelian genetics, okay? So what you guys need to do is you should be able to complete both FRQs now on the College Board assignment after going through meiosis and this lecture. Be sure to practice all of those genetic problems that were in this lecture, so that way if they give you questions like this, you are more than prepared. They love genetic questions, so make sure you do the practice, okay? Now, if you need help with the questions or the practices, please let me know. And make sure you check out the video of me breaking down the answers for you guys. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.